been with the Santa Ana Police Department now for 26 years. I've worked many different assignments throughout the department, but the one that I've been working for the last 10 years is in backgrounds. And that's where I found my expertise. I go and talk to other background investigators, and I'm considered a resource for many departments throughout the state. I've done over 1,000 backgrounds, police and fire, over the last 10 years. I've been involved in thousands of other backgrounds, helping other investigators do them. Real excited about this project, about this book that we've written. It's real informative and it really helps people. I'll tell you the motivation for writing the book. We had a sergeant here at work, and he put in for a police officer position, his son did, and my son put in at the same time. And it was real interesting that at the end my son was hired and his son wasn't. And he questioned, why did that happen? And during that time he said to me, well, it's not fair because you told your son everything he needed to do to become a police officer. And of course I admit absolutely I did, and then it keyed me on the idea that everybody should have that fair chance. And so writing this book gives everybody the chance to be successful. Now, you not only have to read the book, but you have to do what the book says in order to be successful. And that's part of the motivation that we look for in applicants every day. It's one of the biggest things that we see. People that are successful in the process are people that are excited and motivated about getting into this exciting field of law enforcement and fire. With firemen, I've been doing their backgrounds also for the last 7 years. And the same thing I see there that I've seen in police work is they need to prepare themselves for the background process. This book gives them all the insight they're going to need in order to be a great applicant. And because they're a great applicant, their enthusiasm level will rise by itself because they know they're prepared. And when they go in, people will see that confidence and they'll be more successful. I just got a call this morning from an applicant that got hired by a department. He bought the book just about a month ago, and he said it made all the difference in the world, that when he went to his oral, he had read the things that we had done, and that the pointers helped him in the oral and made him successful when he was hired. And he just wanted to thank myself and my partner for writing the book and giving him the information that he needed to be successful. This is not an unusual occurrence. It's happening more and more all the time. And of course, when they get excited, I get excited too, because I love nothing more than to hire people. A lot of people come into the background process thinking it's an adversarial process. They don't realize the background investigator's job is to help you get hired. But that's what we're doing with the book. We're helping everybody. Not all background investigators are as enthusiastic about hiring as we are. And so this helps you have all the knowledge that you need in order to get hired. It tells you the things to do, what not to do. It's telling you things that a lot of agencies won't tell you, but it helps you be a better applicant. And so by reading the book, you're educating yourself, you're making yourself a better applicant, and even if you're not successful at the first agency, the book tells you what to do to repackage yourself and make yourself better. It has things in there that talks about, for instance, some people will tell you to apply at as many agencies as you can. And in my experience over the years, it's absolutely not good advice. And so this is one of the things that the book tells you. It tells you about just applying at a couple of places, because otherwise it looks like you're just, the shotgun effect is what it's called. It looks like you're just applying. You just want a job. You don't care where. Well, that's not impressive to any agency. Obviously, we want people that want us, and we're looking for people that are motivated, that want a job at that particular agency. It tells you things like when somebody goes into an oral and says, I really want to work for your agency. Well, why do you want to work for our agency? Because you're number one. Really? I noticed you took an oral at this other agency last week. What did you tell them? They were number two? And of course the people look at you like with that whoops look. And so the book helps you with those kind of things so that you don't put yourself in positions that'll make you uncomfortable and of course make them question your integrity and truthfulness on your answers. I think that that's a real sign that they need to, number one, they should read the book because it'll help them analyze their situation. Maybe this is the wrong business for them, or maybe it's not, but they need to educate themselves on it. Just like when you're going to pick an agency, you just don't apply at an agency because they pay the most, or they have the fanciest building, or you've heard things about it. You have to research the agency, make sure that it's the type of police work. Our agency, if you're at a busy agency, and then another agency is a real quiet agency, the same people don't apply at each of those, and you have to decide which are you? As far as a firefighter, sometimes you'll go to an agency where there's very few calls for service. In other agencies, the larger cities, there's a lot of calls for service, and you have to decide which type of personality do you have, what kind of drive do you have. You have to match yourself with the city. And by reading the book, it gives you that information. It helps you analyze yourself, because really there's no one else to do it. And so rather than apply at an agency and get hired and then find out it's the wrong agency, you need to do your homework, which is reading the book, analyzing yourself with the information that's provided in the book so that you can make the best decision for you. I think that getting a degree is excellent, but it's not necessary for everyone. You have to decide for your personal situation what's going to work. And some people, depending on other things in their life, like life experience, they need to go ahead and get the education and get other experience while they're doing it. On the other hand, some people already have life experience and you have some education. In a lot of agencies, you can go there and go to school while you're working. The agency will pay for your education, and so you'll still get it, just take a little longer. In a lot of agencies, your pay is predicated on your educational level, but it's also tied in with years of experience. So you'll have years to go ahead and acquire your education, and you'll also be getting your experience as a police officer, making you more valuable in both ways. I think that that would be tied in with the education. For instance, you have to decide how prepared you are, so that when you apply at a department, you're applying at a department that, again, you match. Just to get a job at any agency doesn't necessarily mean you'll be able to go to the agency you wanted to go to. Don't underestimate yourself. Don't undergrade yourself. A lot of us have qualities that we don't bring to light or we don't even understand that we have. And I'll give you a perfect example of that. People come to me, or myself, when I came into this business, they said, "What experience do you have?" And I thought I didn't have any, until I realized I was in the retail business for years. Well, I think the retail business is a college for being a police officer. No better job to have than in retail, where you're dealing with people on a daily basis. In my case, I handled the problem customers that we had at a business that I worked at, and it was a great experience because I learned to deal with people. And one of the things I told them, and this was really what got me hired, among 550 applicants in my world, they said, "What have you done to prepare?" And unfortunately, I really hadn't done enough things. And they said, "Well, why should we hire you over these 550 other applicants?" And I said, "Because I have something they don't have, and you can't give it to them." And they kind of smiled at each other and said, "Okay, what's that?" And I said, "I have the ability to use this." I said, "I'm not afraid to use this if it's necessary, but I have the ability to use this. I can get people to do what I want them to do and make them think it was their idea." And I said, "And you can't give that to them, and I've got it." And they told me right on the spot, and they'd only done half the orals. I was hired. So again, there was a quality I had that I didn't know. So again, by reading the book, you can find qualities in there that they're looking for, try to relate them to your personal life, and you may be more prepared than you think you are. And you want to go for the place that's going to match you. Otherwise, what happens is you can go to another agency, you can form bad habits, you can get poor training. Where you go to the agency you want, that's part of the reason you would go to an agency. Excellent training, excellent equipment. Of course, benefits are important, but it's not the most important. We don't get into police work to become rich, but they pay us enough to have a nice living and be able to provide for our families. You can definitely be not qualified for one agency, but still get hired somewhere else. Every agency looks at people in a different way and has different needs. An agency that's smaller and has less activity doesn't need a total A-type personality that is on the go all the time. So you have to look at what it is their needs are. And if you don't make it at one, though, I always tell people, don't just start going to another agency. Look at why they didn't take you. And some agencies, to be honest with you, won't tell you. So you have to analyze yourself why you think they didn't tell you. And if you look at the whole picture, then you repackage yourself. But don't just keep taking the same package and turning it in one place and then another place. Each time, before you go to the next place, do something to improve your package to make yourself a better applicant.